TEDxWhistler, Amash Atskin Tumusana, Inchash Lhpatq, Shemach Maxine Bruce, Lil'wat Nation, Lhpatq. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all today. My ancestral name is Lhpatq. My English name is Maxine Bruce. I am Lil'wat. I am from this land. The Lil'wat people have been on this land for many years. Our language is connected to the land and the resources. As our elders would say, we, the Lil'wat, we are the Uqwamiuq, one with the land. Did you know that trees eat salmon? At night, they pull out their roots and they walk down to the river to get salmon to eat. I tell this story to the children when I'm delivering salmon education and awareness. I explain to them that the eagle will go down to the river and take a salmon and bring it into the forest to eat. He won't always eat the whole thing. He'll leave some of it to decay into the ground, to give the ground some nutrients. And the tree will take up those nutrients through its roots. That's how trees eat salmon. Scientists have studied the connection of salmon with trees, and they have learned that there's salmon DNA in those trees. And just like a tree, I have salmon DNA in me. As a Lil'wat person, I depend upon that salmon. That salmon depends upon me. I am part of this ecosystem. My blood is deep in this land. I come from generations and generations of Lil'wat. As a Lil'wat person, I am taught to be mindful that any impacts to the land and resources will impact me, will impact the next 7 generations. This is not a new process. For those before me, my ancestors, they did this for me. In these changing times, in this time of climate change, I believe that being one with the land and resources can bring us together so as to help each other's. What comes to mind is a word in my language, nukwantwelt, to help each other's. I'm employed by the Lil'wat Nation as Territorial Stewardship Manager. I work and live in Mount Currie, in the heart of the Lil'wat Nation's nearly 800,000 hectares of traditional territory. In my work, I oversee a salmon stock assessment program. This work takes place throughout the Lil'wat River system. I also oversee the environmental monitoring efforts, as well as the archaeological field studies. I work with some awesome people, with stewardship technicians, archaeologists, biologists, hydrologic engineers, administrative staff. I feel that the thing that connects us is how much we care for each other's, how much we care for the land and the resources, the environment. I feel this work brings people together in a very positive way. In my job, I get to experience some awesome things. There are times when I get to be in the river, when the river is full of spawning salmon, that when you're in the river, you could feel that salmon amongst you. I get to see an eagle swimming. I seen him take a salmon carcass, and he tried to fly away, but that salmon was too heavy for him. So he pushed it into the river to be able to maneuver a little better. But I think he went into a little too deep. He was up to his chest in the river, and he wouldn't let go of that salmon. So he had to swim upstream in order to get that salmon onto the gravel bar. That was quite a sight. What if these stories is all that we have left? If we have no more salmon, if we have no more eagles? The Birkenhead River sockeye salmon count, back in 2003, we counted 307,000 sockeye salmon in that river. And last year, the year 2022, we counted 136,000 sockeye in that river, over 40% less. What can we do together to address those issues? In preparation for today's presentation, I listened to Chief Dan George's centennial speech to Canada. I could feel his emotions. I could feel his desperation. I could feel his hope. He said, "Like the thunderbird of old, I shall rise again with new education, with new skills, new tools." We, the Lil'wat, we are rising again to take back what is ours, our responsibility. We are using new skills and tools to conduct salmon surveys. We use underwater sonar cameras and computers. We conduct surveys using a combination of the new and the old ways. An example of the old ways, when I think of that, I think of the Birkenhead Chinook salmon. How do you manage a challenged stock? What comes to mind is a word in my language, kulcham. It means take all that you need and use all that you take. The Lil'wat people are taking an increased role in the field of natural resource management throughout our territory. To do the work, the Lil'wat have developed the Lhpatq Stewardship Program. The Lhpatq stewards are present throughout the territory, reconnecting with their land and resources. What a fine example of nation rebuilding. The work that we do is guided by a term in my language, Lhpatq, our ways. For example, of Lhpatq, our baskets are made under that concept. The baby basket, the frame is made from cedar sapling. The frame is held together by stripped cedar root. The design on the basket is made from cherry tree bark. The black design on the basket is made from cherry tree bark that has been buried for nearly a year, so as to allow it to oxidize. Once that basket has served its full use, we give it back to Mother Earth. The Lil'wat people have been on this land since time out of mind. In Lhpatq, our ways has a lot to do with that, as well as in Hukman, our laws. Our natural laws best said in our language. Wa umnimti timilkasa kuama, shnislo tlitquish tumusash kuama. We will provide for our land so that it can provide for us. In Lhpatq, our ways, our ancient ways, based on a carbon dating result on one of our archaeological sites. It's 5,570 years old. This site is found on the banks of the Birkenhead River, a salmon-bearing stream. What are the costs or consequences if we do nothing? If we continue to work in our silos? How do we prepare for heat domes, floods, droughts? What can we do to address these? in these changing times, in this time of climate change. I believe the concept of being one with the land and resources, we can help each other's. Nukwan 12. The Lil'wat, we are working in collaboration with others, with governments. We are working with BC Parks to develop a visitor use management strategy for Joffrey Lakes Park. It's been recorded that over 180,000 people visited that park in one season. Imagine that. In response, the Lhpatq are doing surveys on a species at risk, the white bark pine. The Lhpatq are present throughout their territory, reconnecting with their land and resources, seeing the changes, seeing the climate change. I recall in the summer of 2021, the heat domes. The temperature went to 40 degrees plus Celsius in our valley. What is that in Fahrenheit? I recall mid-November 2021, the atmospheric stream, the big rain event. That rain event created havoc on our coho salmon enumeration program. It overwhelmed our work site. It overwhelmed our underwater sonar camera. The river levels prevented us from getting to our camera. The increased velocity of the river caused significant amount of erosion that brought down a lot of rock and gravel that deposited onto our camera. About a week later, we went back to our work site, and what we seen was high river. And at that time, we seen that our underwater sonar camera was now fully buried under rock and gravel. It was that day we decided we're gonna just get in that river and start digging that camera out. We put on our gear, tied ourselves to a safety rope, and we jumped into that river. It was about 10 a.m. when we started digging. It was about 3 p.m. when my shovel hit the top of that camera. We cheered. That was a great sound. We got out of the river. We called it a day. We had a snack. It was then I decided I'm going to reach to our higher powers for help. I'm going to host a ceremony. I made my way to the river's edge, and on my way, I took a cedar branch from the nearby tree, and I walked down to the river edge, and I said, "Grandfather River, please help me. You know who I am. I am always by the river. I never do you no harm. Please release this equipment to us. I thank you for everything that you give me." Then I threw my cedar branch into the river in the hopes that my cedar branch will deliver my plea to Grandfather River. It was on about the 10th day of this experience when our team was able to fully remove that camera from the river. It was buried under 5 feet of gravel. I just happened to be 5 feet tall. I think my ceremony worked. I feel that the concept of being one with the land and resources can bring us together to help each other's. Nukwan 12, let's connect. The Lil'wat people have been on this land for over 5,500 years. One of our late knowledge keepers, who's been passed away for some years now, he wished we could all learn my language. Our language is connected to the land and resources. What secrets will be revealed about the land and resources if we learn my language? I want to share with you a couple of place names in my language to give you an idea. Lhpatq, a section on the Birkenhead River. The translation is whirlpool. What a wonderful representation of hydrology. Another place name in my language, Lhpatq. It means mushroom patch. It also means thick mossy area. It also means a beautiful place to rest. Another word I'll share with you in my language, Quiqualau. I like the way that sounds. Its translation is to dream. I dream of Lil'wat language revitalization. For the Lil'wat language is in danger, and in time may never be spoken again. I dream that together we reverse climate change. I dream that our collective efforts will ensure that we get to see an eagle fish. We get to see an eagle swim. That we get to see salmon, so many in the river, that when you're in the river, you can feel it swimming amongst your legs. Imagine that. And moving forward, I challenge you to connect with the land and resources like the Lil'wat. Be one with the land. Be the Uchalmiuch Tamiuch. I invite you to think about the concept of Kulcham. Take what you need and use all that you take. Find a way. Thanks very much for being here today. That's all I have to share. Lhpatq.